So so today we are going to talk about community development, and then of course this section will be twice. I'll be having two sessions with you. One will talk about community development and what the project is all about and everything, and then the second one we'll have an interactive section on how the project will go and an official launch of the project. That one will happen on July 14, and that's Wednesday or Thursday. If I'm July 14, yes. I, I don't know. The project director will join us soon. I think he's having another important meeting with some of our partners. So I needed to come and represent him here. Okay. So we are talking about community development today, and then let me give you a brief of engage the community project. Some few years back, I came to serve of course from Nigeria. There is one thing that is called compulsory 1 year service after graduation in school. After graduation in school, thank you everyone for putting your introduction. I really love that. Thank you so much. Malawi, Zimbabwe, and the likes. Okay, so we started with we started with um, that project in um, 20, is it now 2016 or thereabout? 20, 2018, yes. Um, when I did NYC 2018, 2017, yes. I did NYC, compulsory NYC, and then of course I was posted to a rural place, a village, so to say, and then one of my experiences is that I observed that then we have not founded 3D Africa Youth Organization then. 3D Africa started about 18 months ago. So I decided to look at what is happening within the environment. A lot of things were wrong with the environment, and then I observed that the community could make better do if the if young people are serious. Okay, so I started something that was called then community school tour. I started community school tour, and then in that community school tour, I go around to schools to talk about SDGs, leadership, and every other thing like that. And then one of the things I do was bring people together. I was going to different communities. Then I later on after the second year, I started with the communities across board in the what's it called in the local environment. It was a big local government. So I was going through the communities. So one of them, I I spoke to some of the community members. Um, so I was doing a whole lot of work with community youths, and then bringing people together to form community youth group so that they can lead their communities well, and then foster young people together within a particular setting to drive change. Over time, I discovered that one of the ripple effect, positive effect that it has was that I was called by different stakeholders within the local government. Oh, you are doing a fantastic job. I have a lot of pictures on my social media platforms. Of course, you gave me a lot of awards then. But more than the award, I was quite fascinated with the fact that young people do want to come together, but they need someone to push them to really want to come together and the like. So they needed um, a force. They needed something to motivate them. So I go there then to please mute your mic. Mute your mic. Please mute your mic. So I needed to please when you are coming in, try to mute your mic so we can So I try to engage a whole lot of them. Then during my time at that place, I was able to create about, if I'm not mistaken, about 10 community youth groups in different communities that are still active up to today. And then I also created about 6 SDG clubs. Then during those time I had some digital skills. I also created digital skills for um, for students, for students and other people like that. So that spurred me up with the level of growth at that community level, local government level. The state, the state youth network then called me and they said, "Oh, we saw what you are doing and the last. How can we collaborate and take these things to different local governments um, within the state?" And then we started off from there, and it goes on and on. I have come to discover one simple truth: wherever youths are, and they are serious about change and development will always occur. The most the most significant group of people that can drive change in a local community or across the continent are the youths, the young people. So, of course, there are statistics that gives us that um, young people have in Africa, we have about over 65 to 70% of the population are youths. That means that we have every single opportunity, and then of course the privilege to drive change. So when 3D Africa started, we were looking at what are the projects that we can do that young people can be part. We do not want to go alone to different communities. We want to take as much young people as possible where you are in your local place. um what are the things that you need to do to also drive a change where you are there. um I've always had this philosophy that wherever I found myself, I must be an agent of change. This philosophy has helped me and has linked me up with a whole lot of people across the globe. Recently, I was talking to, okay, of course, I'm a teacher, a professional teacher for that matter. And then I was talking to the Global Prize winner, Keisha Top, in education from US. I think that was 3 weeks ago. I was talking to her and I said, "How did you become the best teacher in the world?" We had a Zoom discussion like this. And then she told me that she saw a need within a local setting and she was feeling that need. It's as simple as that. That singular act uh, projected her into the global framework. So one of the things we really want to do in Africa is to help young people become an agent of change. We want to help young people, we want to help young people become agents of change where they can identify a major problem within their community, mobilize other youths, and then solve the problem. If every young people can be like this, in no distant time, Africa will be a continent to be reckoned with. So one of the things I've always maintained is that the youth are the major driver of growth and development anywhere in the world. So it is high time for young people to start up. Okay, so our idea of engage the community project is that myself, you, and every one of you across Africa, where we stay in our local community, let's do something to impact that community. It's as simple as that. I am currently in a local setting. Funny enough, interesting enough, I moved again from city to for a project here, and then of course I where I stay currently is a local community. I have met with different young people within different communities in that local government. Oh, and I'm saying that okay, how do we drive change here? So we want every young people to also do that in your local community. identify a major challenge, and then of course find a way to solve it. That's the basic idea, the layman idea about engage the community project. Okay, so like I have done, um, I have done I've gone to school. I observed that young people need, we have gone to school to have leadership programs. Okay, we created I created then young leaders club. The young leaders club, were training young people on leadership, the school children on leadership, so we can begin to build the next generation of leaders. I train them on digital skills, on skills and different skills. I train them on SDGs because they are also the next driver of SDGs. And then of course I go to communities like this, like in this picture. Of course, if you check our social media platforms and website, you will see you will see a lot of projects that we did last year and so on like that. So what am I saying in essence? We have created a, we have created three platforms where you can serve. One, you can be an I skill project volunteer, where whatever skill that you have, whether you have a digital skill, whether I think we had someone from Cameroon last year, if I can remember, that train people on how to make beats and was your whatever skill that you have, you want to help others acquire that kind of skill in your local community. You bring them together, train them on those skills, and then they move on. And then you train them. Over the time they also train others, and people, through you, people get to be skilled, and of course contribute to the community. You are contributing your own quota to development of your community, because people, we got the feedback last year that I was so fascinated with that feedback that it really helped me a lot. It really what was it called, how will I put it, sorry, it was so interesting that we got that feedback. That those persons that the lady taught skill, they went on. One of them went on to also train another person, some set of 50 people on skill again, on that same skill. And then the guy that in question now is using that skill as a major source of income. Nothing interests you more than that. So we got a lot of feedback from last year. Again, last year, uh, this is the second edition of that project. Another platform we created was to have I educate project, where we want to push for SDGs. We are looking at a situation where um, young people are driven to train others on SDGs. We go to schools. Our major target is the schools. Let school children know about SDGs, the global goals 2030. It will surprise you that even a lot of young people, youths, do not know about global goals. And then also, if you don't know about global goals, how do we drive global change? It is when we understand the global goals, we take global action, that we can drive global change. So these are some of the things we want to do. Another platform to do is we want to create as much SDG clubs in schools, train them on SDGs, global goals, and then help them to also drive the change. I remember last year when I created about 3 SDG clubs in different schools. I got a feedback. I trained the coordinators of those schools how to continue with that SDG club in schools. I got a feedback from one of the coordinators that those school children, they have started carrying out SDG projects within the community. I was so fascinated with that report that young people, school children, secondary school, high school children have started doing projects on SDGs. So they are also aware now that we've created awareness in them about how to drive change as young as they are, and that one will continue with them for a very long time. And that's what we want to see. Another thing we have done in this engage economy today, the third part, is I lead project. We understand that we need to start. Don't worry, people that are raising hands, I will answer your questions. This is just an introduction to what's it called. Young people, we understand that we need to build leaders. So we go around helping to shape community leadership by saying that, okay, can we bring young people together in a local community? Okay, if I'm in this community, if I'm in social community, let me bring young people together. I think I have a picture of a guy that did something like this. I have a picture of a guy that did something of such. Okay, this was James. Yes, it was James Marakohoma in Sierra Leone, if I can remember. I think I have a good memory. I remember things very well. It was this was Sierra Leone. So what he did was to bring young people together in his local community. He observed that there were a lot of pollution within that community. So they started to um, mobilize all other young people. I think he was able to singularly mobilize about 150 young person. If I can remember very well. I think the project director will be able to give that fact, but he might not be here because of the meeting is having meeting with one of the partner, some of the partners. Okay, so I he did that, and then afterwards he created I can't remember the name of that community youth group. He created a community youth group where young people meet. I think once in every month. They train themselves. They look at some of the projects they can do for the community and a whole lot of things like that. I think these are some of the things they did. Now, having said all of this, we have come to realize as young people that community development is one of the vital tools for us to um, really make impact in Africa. Like I've spoken on this in different conferences. I have said that there are four phases to development. There are four phases to development, and develop the most fundamental phase. The most fundamental phase. Please mute your mics. I think I've said that times to that number. um, the most fundamental phase of development is communal development. That's the primitive. That's the first thing. We have four phases. We have the community development, the local or the state development, the national development, and the continental development before you even go to global. So every development that a nation experience starts with the community. Any country that will experience meaningful, sustainable, strategic, um, effective development start with the community. We have identified this, and that is why we have looked at, okay, how do we do this, and then we also understand that it is young people that can drive this development. So we are not in this lecture. I'll just briefly, in about 20 minutes or 15 minutes thereabout, I will just tell us about community development and then the roles of young people in community development, and of course I'll take your questions. So a community is defined as a group of persons um, with common characteristics, and of course with they have interest of living together within a larger society. That's generally we have group of people coming together with common interests, and then of course there is a larger society. For instance, now I'm in a particular community, and that community is part of a larger community, which is the local government, and the local government is part of a larger community, which is the state, and the state is part of a larger community, which is the country, and my country Nigeria is part of a larger community, which is Africa, and Africa is a has a larger community, which is the globe or the world generally. So a community is defined as that, and of course development involves change, improvement, and vitality. I love that word, change, improvement, and vitality. It means that when we bring the two words together, we are having um, a process where we tend community development therefore becomes a process where we tend to improve the social, economic, and environmental situation of the community. So every community developer, every young people who is genuinely interested in developing community, understand that community development is a process, and it involves making an attempt to improve before. And that is why it involves that we look at it, oh, where I am staying, my current local community, or maybe where I find myself, what is lacking. Hey, I think we said people should move. Okay. How do we improve our community? So what is the major aim of community development? The aim of community development is to give power to people and communities, and of course, is to encourage sharing, to create structure, genuine participation, and less. We want to bring a whole lot of people together in order to drive change in that community. It's as simple as that. We are bringing people together. We want to encourage them that with joint effort, with collaborative effort, our community can become a better place. Okay, that's the major aim of community development. And then some of the importance of community development is that it drives faster changes. um, 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 Change is driven. You have I'm trying to rush because I want to take a lot of questions from you, and then you can, I think you have gone through the slides yourself. So one of the importance of community development is that it there is faster change, there is growth in development, and then of course it brings a lot of people together to work towards a common goal. I remember, I will do more of sharing experience. I remember a particular community that I went. Then um I want to remember the name of the community. I've done a lot, so I can't remember very well. So I remember one of that community, I think Otunja. Yes, the name of that community is called Otunja. And then when after we were able to mobilize young people, we created community development groups. So the youth of that place were meeting almost every Sunday then. And then the leadership that we set up there, they were able to create an empowerment program. And then somebody gave a testament that we didn't know something like this could come up within this community. Where have we been for so long that we have our community have not been like this, that we young people have not come together? As a matter of fact, they started doing major works, and then they begin to receive a lot of support from older people. And I was called back to deliver a lecture in that place. And then I got a whole lot of testimony, that's a whole lot of feedbacks that they understand the power of collaboration, that if young people can come together, change is possible, development is possible. Until today, they have started to improve their local community. In fact, some of them that have traveled out of that community, they are still participating fully in those works. So some of the importance is that we are able to, because two words are better than one, we are able to foster resources together. Some of the importance of community development, or when we come together, is that we are able to foster resources together to drive the change that we need. And then we are able to collaborate, we are able to share ideas and a whole lot of things. So these are importance of um, community development. And then quickly, um, community development principles. Number one, active and representative citizen participation. I love this. One of the principles of community development is that you have citizen participation, and then of course it will influence decisions that affect life. When we come together, one of the principles of community development that we are able to develop, people are able to participate in what affects their lives. And one of the things that I've noticed, that in a whole lot of last year we engaged about 25 young persons. Is it 25 or 20 in a group discussion, like the live discussion like this? And then I was asking them a particular question. Those that were doing their lead, I spoke specifically to their lead persons. Then and then some of them was saying that I said, do you know that have you thought of creating, do you have a local community development group in your place? He said, I think he was from Namibia. He said no, but he has been thinking of it too, but he didn't know how to go about it. And I said, um, can you test run this, test run that, and then let's see what. So I gave them an assignment. Then the following week they came back and say, and most of the young people are saying, oh, this is good, and then people have started buying into whatever they are saying, and then more people want to participate in those things. As Africa stands now, we need active citizens participation. We are lacking it in Africa. People show less concern about what affects their lives. This is one of the things I have seen a whole lot in African communities. Uh, as possible, I am connected with all countries in Africa and about 190 countries in the globe. And for my research so far, I have found out that this is true, especially in African communities, especially young people. One of the things young people want to do is, oh, my life alone. If I don't know anything about, of course, I'm familiar with Nigeria. A lot of young people do not care about what is happening within their environment. They just want to care about their lives. But those things that are happening in their environment is really affecting their lives. So one of the principles of community development is we want to foster citizens participation so that we can encourage a lot of people to take part in decision making. It is because, in fact, in Africa, it's because we have neglected this citizen participation that we are experiencing bad leadership, because we are not participating well in things that affect our life. So some of the things that we want to do, this project wants to address that we are able to mobilize young people to also participate. It starts from here. When you are able to mobilize them, for whether you are training them, and then of course you are telling them that, oh, this is how we are supposed to do it now, we are giving them lecture about it, and then whether it is I lead that you are mobilizing them to do a particular project, they have a sense of responsibility that this is our community, it must get better. Okay. And then another thing is that another principle of community development is that you are engaging community members in problem diagnosis. The last community I went, if I could remember very well, I'm seeing hands. Don't worry, like I've said, I am going to take questions. Don't worry, I will take questions. I asked them, if you are to list 3 major issues that is affecting your community and young people, what will it be? And we sat down for over 2 hours. We were discussing those issues, and then we identified 3 major ones. Last week, I jammed one of the leaders of that community. I went out to have a discussion at. Sorry, I went out to have a discussion with one of our what's it called, and then I met with him, and I said, oh, how is your community going? And he said some of the issues that we identified, then they have started tackling it one after the other, and it was because we were able to bring out a lot of people together, and we said, okay, what is the problem that is facing us as young people in this community, and then we are able to diagnose it. Okay, so when we engage ourselves like this, we diagnose problems, and then we understand, as young people and as young leaders, because I believe we are all leaders. After diagnosing them, we understand the economical, social, political, environmental impact that the solutions to those problems will bring, because you have been able to diagnose them very well. And then we participate, we disengage any form of anything that will affect us within the community. Of course, we discourage things that will not make the community go forward when we come together and develop the community. Of course, we actively work on building capacities as well. So these are some of the principles of community development. And then now let's talk about the roles of young people. I'm almost done. I want to just round it up. By God's grace, like I've told our project director, I said people that are participating in this year Against the Community project, we are going to have um, um, a free course for them, a certified course on social development programs. We are going to have community development and all those stuffs like that. A free one for them. We host those ones in our academy, 3D Africa Academy, for $50. But for everybody that is participating this year, it's going to be free for them because we want to build more change agents. So let's talk about youth development. As young leaders, um, we must understand that things that revolve around youth are grouped into five major things. Five major things revolve around youth that I've discovered. One of them is education. For us to develop young people, one of the most important of them is education. One of the most important of them is education. And then, of course, that's one of the things we have done. We are trying to do in this Engage the Community project to educate young people. Skills empowerment is there, SDGs is there, community development there. All these that we are doing, we are giving education. And of course, we know that education is key. Now, education does not have to do with school learning alone. This is education. We are educating ourselves on the importance of community development. It's one education. And then when you go to the field and also tell young people about community development and how they can be a change in their community, it is education. With the level of that education, if 90% of young people understand the concept of community development and they are fully immersed into it, I can assure you that we will drive a 1001% change in the next 10 years. One of our targets in Engage the Community project and in 3D Africa generally, you have listened to all of these videos and the likes, is that we want to mobilize 10,000 youths in the next 10 years. 10,000 youths in the next 10 years that will directly affect 10,000 communities in 55 African countries. And a part of and this is our focal point. This is our focal point. We are looking at how we can educate young people about community development, about change, about how they can take leadership and ownership of development in their countries, in their communities, in their local environment. And then another part of youth development has to do with political participation. We are partnering soon with Yaga Africa on this. I will talk more on this at the post project activities that we are going to do. Of course, we have also created a program, African Leadership and Governance Program, for this, where we want to encourage young people to participate in politics. Okay, so another way we can develop young people is to make sure that they engage or they participate in politics. We have over the time we have left politics to some few set of persons, and then of course it is not. Of course, we are even glad that with the little works that some of us are doing now, a lot of young people are getting, especially in Nigeria. I can say of Nigeria specifically now, a lot of young persons are quite interested in their future now. They are interested in politics. They are interested in who governs them, and of course, this is this really is this is really really interesting for us to know. So, a part of young youth development again is civic participation, participating in civic responsibility, voting, public administration, public development, public-private partnership, youth development, and the likes. Like I've said the other time, all of this political participation, civic participation, deals with how well we can mobilize young people at the grassroots level to develop themselves. Like I've always said that if at the community level we have a strong community base as youth in our local communities, education will not be a problem because in one way or the other we'll be driving it. Political participation will not be a problem, civic participation will not be a problem, and so on. Of course, another part is employment and opportunities. employment and opportunity. One of the part of youth development is employment and giving them opportunities. That's one of the things we are doing at Engage the Community project. I skill project, people that have been trained. I remember one of our, okay, it was our project director last year, Abioye. He trained, if I can remember, about 100 people like that on digital skill, most especially computer skill. And then a lot of them has gone to computer works fully, and they have been fully engaged. In fact, one of them is part of our team designing graphics for us. Okay, so he did that, and then of course that one has created employment for him. He's a full graphics designer doing graphics and doing nothing else than graphics, and he's paying me full cool cash. In fact, during this project, we have one of us through this community development program that he was training about 200-300 persons, got put it in his own CV, and is working currently. Favor, he's also working as my personal graphics designer, and he's working currently in the office of Vice President of Nigeria, Yemi Osinbajo, and then he's working currently at the office of Vice President for what's it called, as one of the graphics designers. Some of the graphics that the Vice President do, Favor is one of them that is doing it. So these are some of the things that these opportunities will bring, and of course health and well-being. So youth development is largely centered around this. Now, as young people, what do we do? Number one is to create. Young people needs to be creative. So we want to create, and one of the things we are doing is we have created a platform where young people can leverage on to create an idea, to mobilize young people, to train young people, to educate young people, to skill young people, to lead young people, etc. So we have created that platform. So we are expecting young people like us to also create those platforms themselves, to also impact their community. So as young people, one of our major focus now is to think of how we can create a local environment, how we can create projects, how we can create an idea that will affect directly our community. Okay? And then number two is to connect, how we can connect with young minds like us to also join in this movement. And number three is to catalyze, how we can catalyze this change to occur, how we can drive it. So in three sentences, our three major focal point, action point is we want to create. Number two, we want to connect with young people, and then of course we want to catalyze them into action. So having said that, like I've said, times with that number, development is by strategy and synergy. We need to come together. We need to discuss how we drive change, and we need to go out there and be that change. It has to start from us. It has to begin from us. And then, of course, we need to drive this change as much as possible. So, community development is key and vital to the growth of any nation. I have watched a lot of documentaries about developed countries, and one single thing that has always featured: every developed country started with a developed community. I've watched a lot of documents. I've watched a lot of film to that effect. America, for instance, especially America, as a point of view, you will see a lot of people in a particular community. They will be coming together, whether in a religious setting and the likes, and then they are looking at how they can drive change within that community. Let's do this. It is common with America, common with India as well. So every developed countries started with a developed community. So as young people, we have started this already now to also mobilize young people to say that now is the time to begin to develop our communities. and we start with what do we do to develop our communities. So we have said that let's skill young people, let them have skill, let them understand the global goals, and then how they can also participate in being an agent for global goals. I educate, and then let us also look at how we can drive. Let us also look at how we can drive change through both. Let us also look at how we can drive change through leadership. Through leadership, that is why we start I lead. That let a young person mobilize young person that is of related mind, bring them together, let them solve a community problem, let them come together and create a community development youth. Our target is that all communities in Africa will have a community development youth groups that will be a major force in that community driving change there. We hope that in the next 50 years we have all young people, we have community development youths in almost every community in African states. Our goal is that we are going to have um, um, over 10,000 young people that will be skilled through this project. We are going to have young people driving change. We have 90% of young people understanding the global goals and one way or the other contributing to achieve the global goals here in Africa. And this is what Engage the Community has come to bring, community development. But it starts with engaging the community and, of course, mobilizing young people to engage the community as well. Thank you so much. So, and that is it. So let me begin to have our questions now. Let me begin to have our questions now. Please, if you have questions now, we are going to have, like I've said, um, we are going to have about we are going to have about two one more session that will be interactive session, like where we have questions about the projects and every other thing we need to know. So, but for this evening, if you have question, please kindly signify. I want to count the number of people that have question. I've seen shadow already, shadows. So let's raise up our hands so I can recognize you. We keep to time as an organization. We keep to time a lot. So we have a lot of time for this, and then we keep to time. Do you have any other person? And of course, I told you I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. So I only recognize people that shows I want to ask questions. So number two, another person have raised hand. And once I start calling them, you cannot ask question again. Please, I'm always disciplined with that. I'm always disciplined with that. Don't. I will call you. I will call you. I will call you. Don't worry.
Hapa. Hapo ilikuwa imeandika wifi, sijui connect with wifi, ilikuwa kwa audio. Sababu na connect.
Okay, I only have 3 hands, right? Are those 3 persons those that will be asking question for me? Okay, I think we have 3 hands alone. Shadow, please, your question. Shadows, your question.
Good evening to you all.
Good evening. Thank you.
Actually, my name is Rufinus. I'm speaking from Ghana.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay. So my question is, we've had or are much familiar with these community development and processes and steps to organizing them and arriving at the problems and helping them solve it. But I've also come in contact with communities whereby you go and it's like we are coming with the same old story that politicians have come to interact with them. So they seems a little bit not interested when you are bringing them something different. So in such cases, what are some of the methods or ways that we can use or we can adapt to help curbing that and solving the problem? Thank you.
Okay. Let me answer your question first before I go to others. Okay. Well, I have experienced that a lot. Like I've said, not only for 3D Africa, I have volunteered. I can't count the number of organizations I've personally volunteered for. A lot of projects I have participated in across Africa. I am a serial volunteer, so I'll be speaking from experience now. And for my experience with even engaged in community projects, you are very, very correct with your question. Now, one of the things I have said, or one of the things that this project is all about is we are not. It's not a political project, okay? Um, and that's one of the things I remember. This Otunja that I spoke about when I first got there. The leaders told me that politicians will come around too as well. They will give them promises and the likes. And now I decided to meet with some set of people that are their leaders. And I called them, I told them that one of the things we must start doing now is to place high hopes on our politicians. There is a difference between a leader and a politician. Of course, a politician can be a leader if he wants to, and if he do that. But there are two things. So I told them that we want in this community, we are not depending on outside force to come and help us do something. We want to start the change ourselves. Now, one of the things and I told him is that our first attempt is to see how we can build a structure, how we can build a structure of a strong youth leaders in this community. Okay, and then we said, I told the leader then, can you identify for me about 5 or 6 persons that are very, very active, that and of course that are influential among the youth within this local community. So he identified them, and then we had a meeting again, and I told them that, see, politicians will be coming to give you promises. Now, if they do it, fine. If they do not do it, our own target is how do we help our young people, our youth, to see that together, when we join us together, we can drive a local change here. And then to make them believe in this, let's start from our little, what's it called? Let's start organizing good programs, empowerment programs. It might not have to do with money. Like I do tell people, everything. In fact, there are a lot of things you can do without money. That's what I have done times with that number. I have started a business with zero capital. So I said there are a lot of things we can do without money. Now let's start. We have the human capital resources at our disposal. Let's start with this empowerment program. Let them begin to see that we have something to offer, and then we started with that. Almost every month, we started gathering young people. We are having this empowerment program, bring people to come and train them on this and that. We did that for 6 months, and then when young people in that community began to see that we were consistent and we were driving at something, then we at this end of the 6 months we said, can we organize officially Otunja community youth development groups, so that we can be meeting every week or once in 2 weeks, or as the organization, and then we discuss issues that affect the community, whether we need to do a project, we can contribute together to do a project, or we can rally around with elders within the community and the likes. And then gradually we begin to change the orientation. From the 6 leaders, they were training. The first month we started, we had about 20 persons, 20 youths in attendance. Then the next month, by the end of the 6 months, we have over 120 young people in attendance. And then we started with 120 young people as members of Otunja Community Development Youth Association. And then when they started, when others begin to see, oh, this thing is getting interesting, to that end, we began to organize different programs. We organized a week program, a whole lot of things. Okay, when people see that it is driving towards a particular change, young people themselves were willing to drop a penny, whether it is $1, $1, $2. Okay, let's use it to drive this change. Can we create this? And then when older people began to see that young people have started doing major projects, we clean the gutter, sometimes we do environmental sanitation and all stuff like that. Oh, we can begin to support these young people. We began to write letters across board and like that. So it is a gradual process. Like that's why we said, you will observe that I mentioned that community development is a gradual process, and it does not necessarily have to start with depending on politicians to come and do something. No, sir. It has to do with getting like minds, like this guy that is here now. What he did was to bring about 10 people together and said, haven't you observed that in his project? He told me, I think we posted the documentary on our YouTube. You can go to our YouTube page and watch the documentary of this guy. He told me that what he did was, he called about 6 of his friends and he said, have you not observed that this community is always dirty? The river, and they are close to rivers, everywhere dirty. He did another project on, I can't remember, he did about 4 projects last year. He was the best volunteer for last year. So he told me that, and then he got like 6 of his friends or 7, I can't remember. And then, can't you see? And then some of the friends now said, okay, I have some of my friends who can join us too. And then he was able to mobilize over 50 of them. This one bought his own friend. And then after they finished the project, they did another one within the same period. And then they now said, now that we are doing it, in fact, the whole of the community appreciated them. They became talk of the town. He now said, okay, can we what's it called? Can we come together and begin to discuss how we can move this community forward? And then they started community youth groups. So, like I've said, it starts as a process. In fact, it is possible that you might have a lot of resistance from people. How is it going to be possible? Because generally speaking, in Africa, we are not used to community developments at all. So it's a gradual process. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Shadows.
Thank you very much for the answer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the second person, Mike Siapegua. Please, Mike, you can just continue. Mike. Is Mike still there? I think we have 3 persons that raised up their hand.
Yes, hello.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, this is Mike from Zambia.
Okay.
Yes, I want to find out, so what kind of help do you offer to startup organization, as in youth organizations group?
Okay, although this question is supposed to be for another day, that's okay. the next live session. But let me say this: the jurisdiction of this project is not part of giving help to startups. Okay, but what we do is that at the end of the project, we do have a way of incubating the participant of the project in one program or the other, and then we do partner with an organization. We do not give startups. We do not have the capital to give help. But what we do is that we through partnership, we connect them with organizations that are working with funders, and then of course through an incubation program, they go through incubation programs and all those stuff like that. For currently now, we are trying to strike a partnership with Salvage Africa. They give an incubation program to startups, and then after that they give them funding and the like. So that's what we serve as a bridge to connect young people with organizations that helps them to get funding. I hope that answered that question.
Yes, I'm very much clear.
Okay, do we have any other person with questions? Okay. Now, so tonight's session is just has to do with motivating you ahead for the community. That community development is quite important, and then it will really help us drive. So that's what we have done tonight. By God's special grace, we are going to have another live session for the when we are launching the project. One of our board members will be around. I think Prof from South Africa. I think I want to confirm from director of project. I think Prof will be the one launching the project. Professor Eric Nenzelele from South Africa. So during that launch, we will have a live session that talks about some of the things, and then starting from the next coming week now, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, before Wednesday of the launch, we are going to be grouped into I lead, I skill, and I educate. They are going to be joining subgroups, and then you are going to be having a live interaction there as well about the projects, the pre-project activities, and the likes. Then here we are going to talk about how the project will go. So what we have done tonight is to motivate you, encourage you that you have a role to play in community development. And then we have also said emphatically that it is community development that drives national and continental development. Without community development, it is going to be very difficult for our nation, or our countries in Africa, and our continent to go. So you have a role to play, and thank God this kind of project is here for you to also bring out your quota, so that you will be proud of yourself that in one way or the other you have contributed your own quota to the development of Mother Africa. So on this note, I want to really thank everybody for being available. We are 3 minutes late now because we planned for 1 hour. We don't exist time here. I want to really thank everyone for joining us for this session. The project director was not. You'd have seen his face, but I'm very sure you are going to see his face on during the project launch. Don't worry, you will see his face. Um, he's doing a lot of meetings. Currently, he's quite busy with the team, so I needed to come around here. So thank you so much for joining the session. We really appreciate you. And let me say this as we go. This is a volunteering work generally. Like I've said, my experience as a volunteer has shaped my life a lot. I was sharing with some educators quite some time about a particular topic, becoming a global educator. And it doesn't work with educators alone. It works with young people. It works with everybody that wants to become global. It starts from impact. One of the things I share with them is global impact. You do not navigate, or you do not appear on the global stage if there is no footprint of impact. Let me repeat that statement. You do not appear on the global stage without a global impact. There must be a track record, a blueprint of the impact that you have made. I have said this every conference that have invited me to, that this singular information is important that can change your life. Today, I'm connected with people across 190 countries in the world, not because of anything, but because of my passion for global impact. Personally, I have volunteered for a whole lot of organizations, and of course, when you talk about volunteering, you do not get a kobo. In fact, in most cases, in all cases, I spend my money. So I'm sharing with you a live experience here. I spend my money, and one of the things I have always seen is that the effect is because I use my head as well. There are opportunities that are embedded. There are opportunities that are embedded in volunteering as a young person. A lot of people, anything that will not give them money, they don't want to do. You are really shooting yourself in the leg, because there are things that are better than money. Today, like I was saying, I can stage a global program in 2 days because of my global connection. I am connected with almost all presidents in Africa, almost all. And then of course a whole lot of them, apart from connection and the likes, with the level of impact I've made, it has exposed me to learning. Every single time I go to how to volunteer, I learn a lot. And of course it has shaped my understanding of how the work should be and what my role is. So as you go tonight, we have talked about community development, and you are volunteering to ensure that you develop your own immediate community. These are track records that if you have done them successfully, whether you get one penny on it or not, the record, there is always a way to speak for you. So it is working for me, and it will continue to work. Okay, so I want to encourage you, take volunteering serious, like your life depends on it. You will be surprised of benefits that are attached to it that are beyond money. I tell young people a lot, and that's one of the things I observe that is really affecting community development in Africa, is that a whole lot of people do not want to volunteer when money is not involved. Sir, that is very wrong. Ma, that is very, very wrong. You are naturally, as a person, you have a duty as a person to see that your local environment improve while you are still there. That is impact. I have always said this to people. I am not comfortable being in a place, and while I am there, there will be no change. It will never occur. Every single place I have been, change must occur. That has been my philosophy, and I've taken that philosophy for a very long time. We have exposed you to community development today. You are a volunteer, and then you are doing this at your own free will now, that you want to also contribute your quota to development. Welcome to this journey. I can assure you, I have had a lot of experience, like I've said. It's a journey that is interesting. I take joy in volunteering. I do that a lot. I volunteer for Leap Africa, talk of organizations in Africa. I have volunteered. And I'm still volunteering, despite the fact that in fact this project, like I told my team members, the executives, we are doing it together. I will do all the 3 projects because it gives me joy to make sure that our world becomes a better place. And I hope you find joy in it as well. Thank you. Welcome to Engage the Community Project 2022. And have a lovely night rest. Thank you for coming again. We love and we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we end the meeting now.